Good morning. Welcome to Marketing and Mindset. I am so excited to get this room started. Very happy that you're here. My name is Vanessa Cooper. I'm a Pinterest marketing expert and creator, and I am here every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern with my Clubhouse bestie, Connie. Welcome, Connie. So happy that you're here with us today. And we are going to have a guest speaker today who is going to be talking with us about what you're worth and going into details about these three things that she's going to talk to us about that I'm really, really excited to hear about. So glad that you guys are here. Our guest speaker should be popping in here any minute now. Connie, I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself. And I'm Vanessa, and I'm done talking.
Hey everyone, good morning. My name is Connie. I go by La Doc. I am a Christian mindset stress coach, and if you've been in a room with me before, you'll know that I always say that stress is an emotional response to a situation. So in our marketing and mindset room, we talk about marketing and a bunch of different tools. Today we're going to be talking about your worth, but if you have any questions on Instagram on how to manage your stress, on how to change your mindset, I'm your girl. You can find me here every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with my Clubhouse bestie, Vanessa. And you can also find me on Instagram. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. If you're too afraid to raise your hand, go ahead and go onto the chat, ask your questions there. This room is for you. So we do want to offer whatever tips and tools you need to make sure that you're successful in everything you do, whether it's personal or business. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Connie. And she should be popping in here. I had this room scheduled wrong, you guys. I had it timed for 6 p.m. and I had to fix it this morning. So hopefully that didn't mess up our guest speaker's timing. But I did want to mention, as Connie said, you guys are welcome to ask questions in the chat while you're in the room. But please do keep the questions on point. We've had situations people just go in the chat and start spamming and all kinds of stuff. So let's try to avoid doing that. But you guys are welcome to at any point come up here and also ask your questions and share with us your business or even add to the conversation. So I am going to I'm going to go find the guest speaker and see where she's at. And then Connie, I don't know if you want to, if there's anything based on this topic that you ever share with your clients that you can speak of while I go find our guest speaker. I'm done talking.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah. So one of the things that I always tell my clients is, stress is something that affects all of us, right? We are emotional beings and we always respond with our emotions. But one of the things that I see a lot in my clients is they'll say, well, this is making me feel a certain thing, or that's making me feel a certain thing, or that person is making me feel a certain thing. So the first thing I say is, wait, nothing, nobody or anything can make you feel a certain way. You are the one that control your emotions. So a lot of times when you talk about your worth, or when you think about, how important my job is, or how important do I feel, or do I even feel like I'm good enough, all of those things, you should think about only what you feel, not based on everyone else. So comparing obviously robs you of your joy, but a lot of times you get so caught up in the stress of it, like, oh my goodness, but that person does something similar and they are doing this a certain way, so that makes me feel inadequate or whatnot. Well, you need to you need to decide how you want to feel, because no one can force you to feel a certain way. It's a choice that you make to feel either as a victim or as a triumphant, based on your mind, your thought process. So when we're talking today about worth, don't worry about what everyone else thinks about you. The most important person that you should listen to when it comes to defining your worth is yourself. And that's all I got to say. Our guest speaker is here today. Andrea, if you don't mind, go ahead and introduce yourself, and let them know a little intro about what we're going to talk about.
Hi, my name is Andrea Liebross, and I am a business and life, because I feel like life is all intertwined into business and vice versa, coach for entrepreneurs. And I'm happy to be here today talking about one of my favorite topics, knowing what you're worth. And I like to say in dollars and cents, cents, SENSE, not necessarily cents like money. Because yes, okay, we can talk dollars, but really it's more about what you believe. So I'm happy and excited to share with you today why I think we have so much drama around this topic, what it really, how you really can wrap your head around it and eliminate the pain, so to speak, that it causes, the drama causes, and then share with you why I think believing in what you're worth is so important and what you're offering your clients or customers when you have full belief and confidence in it.
I
I
love.
love that. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was
Sorry.
saying that I love it. That was really good intro. I also wanted to remind and anyone in the room who comes up here to talk, when someone else is talking, to just remember to keep your mics muted so that we avoid any of that background noise, because we'll hear background noise while we're talking. And the mute's found on the bottom right. So if anyone's talking on stage, make sure to keep your mic muted, and then remember to unmute it when you go to talk. But Andrea, I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to hear more about what you have to share. You can go ahead, Connie. I'm done talking.
Thank you, Vanessa. I was going to say the same thing. Thank you so much for being with us. I think the best place to start is, can you give us your definition of worth? So we're kind of all on the same page and we start our mindset from square one.
Sure. You are born 100% worthy. So you are no more worthy today than you were yesterday, or you will be tomorrow. What I think creates the drama, though, is separating our self-worth from our business value, or what we're putting out there into the world. So there is worthiness, which I like to refer to as more of your self-worth, versus sometimes what we refer to as business worth, or how much value you're putting out there in the world. That's how I like to look at it.
I love it. So, tell us a little bit about, like, what kinds of questions do clients come to ask you before you even start this whole process of knowing your worth or finding your worth? Are there certain questions that we as business people, entrepreneurs, professionals, are there certain questions we should start asking ourselves to start thinking about that and formulating an answer before we come to you asking for help? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I think as an entrepreneur or business owner, I mean, we can look at tons of statistics, and we know that, many businesses fail within the first 2 years. And people, there's all sorts of reasons why someone might fail as a business owner, or even just feel like they're failing, right? That's a whole different topic. But what starts to happen, and one of the reasons I think they do either truly fail or feel like they're failing, is because they're not sure that they should be charging what they're charging for their services. And the reason some of this drama comes up is because if you're off, like what you do, Vanessa, you offer a service, right? So you are helping someone use Pinterest. And it's sometimes pretty hard to measure the value in helping them have effective marketing. So you could say, yes, how many sales do they get that are directly related potentially to Pinterest? You can probably track that, but a lot of it is very intangible. Okay, because really what you're offering them is your expertise and your wisdom and knowledge that's been racking up over years and years of practice. And what we're so accustomed in our society to think about worth as something that is tangible versus intangible. And you might also think, okay, well, in order to prove the value that I am providing, to prove that I am worthy of charging the rate I am charging, I have to beef up my tangibles. I've got to beef up my website, or be on the right platforms, or grow my email list. And while all of those things can totally help in increasing your business, they're not, that's not what's going to make people take you seriously. What's going to make people take you seriously is how you present yourself. So the reason that so many people may say no to working with you and which may create more doubt in your brain as to what you're worth, is because they're really just saying no to the intangibles in a sense, because you may not be showing up. This is important. You may not be showing up as your best self, right? And so then you start to have sort of what I call thought errors, okay? And you start to think, I'm not good enough. My service isn't good enough. I'm not going to be able to help them. People don't want what I have. They're uninterested. Then the way you feel, they don't like me. Maybe I'm too expensive, okay? This is really what is at the crux of the matter, your thoughts around the value you're putting out there. And the value you're putting out there, again, is somewhat intangible, which makes this even harder. It's not like we're going to Target and we're pulling something off a shelf and saying, yes, this blouse is totally worth $39.99, right? We can't say that. And I often say, picture if they could go to Target and pull off the shelf your service. Is it worth the price tag? And usually people say, totally, yes, absolutely. So we're used to associating worth with a product. That's tangible. It's really hard to associate it with something that's intangible. So what I like to say, when you're talking about your worth, okay, in a business type of setting, what we're really talking about is three beliefs. The price is just a number, and numbers, we have full control over numbers. Numbers are actually very tangible, and we just have thoughts about them. But the way I want to frame this for you today, which can be used in any business. It can also be used if you're thinking about negotiating a raise or bringing someone new onto your team or explaining to a client how you earn money. The way I want you to think about this is really your worth is just made up of three different beliefs that you have about your service and yourself. So the first belief is something we know. It's the belief that you have in yourself as the provider of the service, the maturity of you as the deliverer of the service. The second belief is your belief in the value of your offer. Okay, which a lot of us, like if we take it in a vacuum type situation, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm offering so much value. All right, they totally need this. I can help them so much. So that's the second belief in the value of your offer or your service. The third belief is kind of the kicker, okay? The third belief is your belief in the maturity, the emotional maturity and the financial maturity of your client or customer, okay? That is really what this is all about. You have to believe in the maturity, the emotional maturity and the financial maturity of your client or customer. But you have thoughts inside all of these three beliefs. And those thoughts trigger feelings. And I work with my clients a lot on this. Those thoughts show up as how you feel about your worth or price, and then they show up as how you show up. So when we have drama over what our worth is or what the number should be or what our fee should be, or how to tell a client or customer about it, how to discuss that with them, that drama is really created because there is a conflict between your three beliefs about the maturity of you as a provider, the maturity of your client's financial and emotional development, or the value of your offer. Your thoughts around all of those three beliefs are conflicting. They're at odds with each other. And there's something called cognitive dissonance going on. So the more dissonance you have, the more conflict you have, the more drama you have around your worth. So to eliminate that drama, you've got to really examine, what are all the thoughts that I'm having? So when I start to question my price, for example, I'm really starting to question my clients and me and my offer. And this again creates that cognitive dissonance, conflicting beliefs, and my thoughts are made up of these beliefs. That is what creates the pain, because the drama then leads to pain. And the drama comes from having too many thoughts about the fact that what I sell is not an undercharge, but the thought that what I sell is too much for the client to handle, or what I deliver, it's too much for who I am as a person. It's too much for them to actually take in. That is where the drama occurs.
I absolutely love that because I think that as humans, we get so wrapped up in how we feel that we forget, um, some of the simple things like the checklist you gave us, the three things. Like, do you believe in yourself? Yes. If not, you wouldn't have started this business or you wouldn't have started this idea. And do you believe in the value of your offer? Well, you should, to some degree, because you are offering this, and you have been getting clients. Um, but the emotional part, I think, is always a hiccup because I think as a society we've been so used to always being in fight or flight mode that just sitting with what the emotion is and asking us if it's real, if it's justified, if that emotion has value in it of itself, is something that's hard for us to do. When someone is stuck there, what are some tools or tips that you offer for them to get unstuck and really start thinking correctly or thinking in the right frame of mind?
So, okay, so how do we kind of clean this up is basically what you're asking, right? How do we clean up this drama? And the process that I work through with my clients is kind of my signature process. One of the elements of the signature process is to have unwavering belief. And unwavering belief, emotional courage, mental flexibility, and autonomy or agency over decisions. Those are the four components of what I call clearing the runway, which means setting the stage, getting in the right mindset for creating the business you want. I move on from that onto the stage of where we actually start to align, plan, schedule, create some action. But the beginning piece, which I think is really the most important, and a lot of times what we brush over, is really this mindset piece. So, how do we do this? How do we clean up this drama? So, here's what I want you to do. Number one, I want you to stop asking yourself about your worth. Stop thinking about what this really means, because your price or your fee or what you're asking people to invest is really about the lifetime value that you are going to deliver to the client, to their lives. It is not just about the 6 months that I'm working with them. It's not just about the service delivery, okay? It's really about the lifetime value of working with you. So, if you start to have drama about fees or pricing, what's happening here is that you're getting in your own way. And I want you to take yourself to a place where you can see the lifetime value you are offering. Stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about them. I mean, I see this with my clients all the time. I work with clients anywhere from 6 months to 6 years. I mean, I have some clients that I've been working with since the day I started, and I have some that just stay with me for that, like a day or 6 months, depending if we're doing a VIP day or a 6 month engagement. But what the value that I offer during that time frame, whatever it is, lasts a lifetime. And I have people come back to me and say, Andrea, the work we did together, I still hear your voice in my head. I still hear you guiding me. And I ask myself sometimes, what would Andrea say? So that's really lifetime value. So, number one is thinking about that. If you can stop thinking about yourself, about your clients' bills, about the cost of their house, about that vacation that they're saving for, about the broken water heater, and start thinking about the value that you're delivering over the course of a lifetime, or not just over in those 6 months you're working with them, or when they sign the contract, you start realizing that your service is really an undercharge and an over deliver. Think about that. What you're putting out there in the world is an undercharge and an over deliver, which takes the focus off of you and it puts the focus more on the value you're giving. Or another way to think about that is the transformation that you're providing. So, in order to counter those thoughts that are creating this drama, you have to be curious. Okay. So, curiosity is what's going to counter your thoughts. When I start looking at the fee I'm charging as more of a transformation and get curious about the transformation or evolution my client's going to have, I start to that drama immediately gets cleaned up. So I kind of like my image in my head is that you and your client are standing in front of a doorway. Okay. And I like to picture some big grand hotel doorway. And that doorway, it can be opened just a little bit and you can slither on in, or you can open those doors big and wide. You can have the bellman open those doors big and wide. And if you open those doors big and wide, the client is going to walk through there, that big, huge door, feeling completely different versus if they have to just slither on through the little crack. I am the one that's opening the door for them. And that's what price is really about. Or worth is really about. How wide am I opening that door? I'm inviting them in, okay? And I'm inviting them in for a transformation or evolution or growth. I'm inviting them in to feel different, okay? And if that door isn't open wide enough, if I don't open that door wide enough, then that transformation or evolution or growth is not as available to them. It feels completely different. So if your fee that you're charging is not high enough, then that transformation, evolution, or growth is not as available to them. So if I don't charge what I charge or believe that I am worthy of the price tag, then they don't have access to something bigger and better for themselves. They don't have access to the energy or the energy that I bring to the table, or the competence I bring to the table, or the abundant thinking I bring to the table. I'm actually doing them a little bit of a disservice because I am getting in the way of their growth or transformation. So, really, what I am doing is taking power away from my clients. I'm not holding the client's vision for themselves as transforming, as evolutionary, as amazing, if I'm not opening the door wide enough. There is value, lifetime value, in opening that door wide enough. And if I am shrinking the invitation, if I shrink my own thoughts about my own worth or the price I'm charging. So remember, this is really not about me. It's about you it's not about me as the service provider. It's about you as the client. It's about them. I can help them transform. I can help them create something different. I can help them um, go to the place they want to go. I mean, one of the big things I work with my clients on is thinking big. So stop thinking small. Make decisions from being bold and brave and big. Have that big thinking. I'm not letting them decide that for themselves if I don't open that door wide enough. I'm actually like letting them shrink. Okay, like literally. So opening the door wide enough with full confidence is very different than having them slither through the door and not showing up, me as a service provider, in full confidence. I'm not letting them have their own feelings and thoughts that support their vision if I don't open the door wide enough. So that's kind of big step one in cleaning up your thoughts. Getting curious, also getting curious about the lifetime value that you're offering and opening up those doors. That's number one.
I absolutely love that because you really provide a perspective for them to see it in a different light. Um, so we're talking, just to pivot just a little bit, we're talking mostly to service providers, right? How
Yes.
would that mindset transfer to someone who's not? And looking at the
Yeah.
room, there's a couple people that are not service
Yes.
providers, so I'd love
Yes.
to give them value too, you know?
Yep. Okay. So if you are an employee, okay, or if you are an employer, Okay. When someone comes to you asking for a raise, or you're going to ask for your own promotion, okay, I want you to think about this same sort of thing. You, as the employer, are opening doors for your employee. If you are not offering them funds, if you're not offering them a salary or a commission structure that allows them to open that door wide enough for themselves, then you are actually kind of hindering or getting in their way of their own growth. If you're the employee and you're going to ask for a promotion or ask for more, you've got to go believing that the employer believes in your emotional and financial maturity, right? Like they are that employer is emotionally and financially mature and can see your value. You don't have to prove it. You've got to believe that they believe in you. So a lot of times when I talk to people who are going to ask for promotions or raises, they feel like they have to have some big long presentation created with 10 bullet points on why they deserve this. What if you showed up to that meeting already believing that that employer understands the value you bring to the table? It would be a whole different conversation. You would show up in a whole different way. So just think about those three things: believing in yourself, believing in the value you provide, and believing in the financial or emotional maturity of the person on the other side of the table. Whether that's the client, whether that's your employer, or whether that's you, right? That's kind of the kicker there. We think we have to continue to prove ourselves, but we really don't. You could try to present 62 arguments and they still might say no if you don't think that they believe in you. So I hope that's helpful for someone that's not the service provider, but in a different role. What do you think, Vanessa?
Yes, I was gonna ask, what about since we're, kind of targeting the different types of businesses, what if their business isn't a service-based business, but they're selling products and they're struggling with the worth of their product, or, just their business or their brand? Is there anything, with this topic that applies to product-based business owners? I'm not talking.
Yes, yes. Okay, so let's use the analogy of you're selling cars. Okay, so you're selling cars. Now, cars have a very practical use, right? They get us from place A to place B. And we could kind of think about the car as that, all right? But I want you to think about the experience, the lifetime value that you are offering the new driver or the new owner of the car. It's all about like the luxurious feel, how they feel inside that new vehicle. It's all about where that vehicle can take them. It's all about how that vehicle is going to provide them with memories, right? They're going to go places in that new vehicle. And that's what you're selling them. Like, yes, you are selling them a way to get from point A to point B, but you're selling them so much more. Even think if you were selling like pens, okay, I'll go back to pens, like super easy. Pencils, like the Widget Factory, okay, yes, you are selling them an instrument that is going to allow them to get their thoughts down on paper, to see what's going on in their brain. And the feel of that pen, there's pens all feel different, right? Some feel good to us, some feel don't. You're providing them with that true experience. Think of like all the five senses that have to be involved in when you're writing something. What you're feeling with the weight of that pen in your hand is allowing you to access your thoughts in your brain. When you're sitting in the vehicle, the way it feels is going to be important. What you hear, is it soundproof or not? Important. What about that new car smell? Important. Okay. So you've got to believe that what you're offering your buyer there's a lifetime value for that. Okay. Even if you want to talk about something that's consumable. Okay. What's the lifetime value of consuming fresh eggs over powdered eggs? Right? There's a difference. You're giving them fresh eggs versus powdered eggs. So you've really got to kind of rearrange your thoughts around that. And then, when I work with my clients and through my process, we this is a huge component. This is you getting yourself in the right mindset. Then we have to work on the tactical pieces of how you're literally delivering the car, how you're literally packaging the pencil, how you're presenting your offer if you're a service provider. We work through all of that as well. And then what happens once you do offer it in a certain way, because there's a whole other mindset piece on the other end. But this is really kind of, like I say, clearing the runway and setting yourself up for that worthiness experience. How does that sound?
I love it. I love it. And Connie, I know I think you got kicked out, but just to update you, she had gone over, the advice that she was giving for the service-based businesses, and then you had asked about different types of businesses. So she went over, if you are an employee or an employer, and then I just had her go over some amazing advice for if it's a product-based business that you're selling physical products. So that was excellent advice. I love it. I'm done talking. I'll let Connie take over.
Thank you so much for bringing me up to speed. Sorry about that. Um, yeah, so tell me a little bit. So we talked about the three different beliefs, and I'm going to go
Mm-hmm.
back to that because I know that that's really important. Um, Tell me about believing in the value of your offer. You're talking about lifetime value. But
Mm-hmm.
what if it's somebody who's so fresh and so new to the process that they think it's a good offer. I think this is a great idea, and I've been able to get clients because I'm kind of just grabbing anybody that I can.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like that first fight or flight, like, okay, I'm going to offer my services, whoever can pay whatever, I don't care. I'm just going to
Yep.
continue to grab it. Tell me about somebody who's stuck in that hunger
Yeah.
stage of I just want to get more clients. I just want to get more work.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So great
You're
question.
under offering
I get it.
your offers.
Yeah. So if you are stuck kind of under, like in that, I call it like scarcity mode, right? You're grasping like, anyone, will you buy this or take me up on my offer? I want you to think about two more things. So number one is that transformation that you're offering. Number two, okay, two more points. Number two is get out of your client's wallet. Get out of your client's wallet. We start to compare. Well, I mean, I know that they're trying to save for the vacation, or they can get this so much cheaper somewhere else. Why would they ever pay my price? We try to like go into their, what I call their wallet. So I encourage you to get out of their wallet, because how do you know? How do you know what they're going to spend on something? I mean, we see this all the time. We're talking about consumer products, right? I mean, a shoe is a shoe. Some people will spend $1,000. Some people will only spend 10. We don't know. We can't make those decisions for them. So don't try to guess on how they spend their money. And just because they have $1 million house doesn't mean they're going to spend $1 million on shoes. They could have the least expensive shoes in their closets, and vice versa. Just because they shop for clothes at Goodwill doesn't mean that they won't spend $5,000 to have someone help them work through a resume, right? So that's number two. Number three, the third way to clean this all up is to think about three things that you are helping them save. Okay. So they are giving you money. Okay. Or if you're an employee, you're asking for money. Okay. So this can be applied to both ways. Here are three things that you are helping that person on the other side of the table save. Number one, think about how much time they are saving, how you are collapsing the timeline for them. Okay. So for me, when I'm in a coaching relationship, for example, I'm saving my client time from trying to do whatever they're trying to do alone and not getting the result they want. I am saving them time from spinning their wheels, from trying to research on their own the best way to do something. I had a client last night. She's like, I'm so frustrated. I've already spent 2 hours on this. I just can't figure it out. And I said, you should have called me. I know how this works. Let's work it through. We'll figure it out in 10 minutes. and we've all had that experience, like, why didn't I call you sooner? Okay, so you're saving them time. And each, as humans, I like to say our three most valuable resources are time, money, and brain power. Okay, and you're helping them save all three. So number one is time, right? Number two is money. You are helping them save not just money now, but money for a lifetime. If you're bringing your expertise to the table, okay, you are helping someone save money in paying someone else who doesn't know how to do what you do, help them. All right? So I love to think about, like, if you're a real estate agent, okay, and you're helping someone find the home of their dream, you're helping someone find the home of their dreams. They may never have to move again. They're going to go searching for answers for other properties, which might cost them more money, but you're saving them money in the long run because you're putting them in their dream home right now. Okay. So think of yourself as saving someone money. A funny way to think about this. Okay. This is kind of interesting. Let's pretend you're a dating coach. Okay. And there are coaches out there who coach, for example, men or women on relationships. So I want you to picture a man who is looking for the love of his life, and he engages with a coach, or he's considering engaging with a coach to help him figure out who is his love of a lifetime. Think of all the money he is going to spend if he got divorced, if he found the wrong person, if he doesn't find who he's looking for. All of those dates too, they're costing him money. So this coach is helping him save money. He's also saving a lot of time by going out on the wrong dates or marrying the wrong person. Okay, so think about that. You're helping them save money. And then the third thing, and I think actually the most impactful thing about when you think about your price or your worth, is helping that employer, that client, the person on the other side of the table save energy. Okay, because what is the internal or emotional impact if they fail? Or for you, if you're like a real estate agent, go back to that. For you, if the transaction does not go through because the agent isn't competent, or they buy the wrong home for the client, if they didn't try to create a transformation, everybody would be left feeling defeated. And the internal impact, that lifetime internal impact on their emotional state, on their energy, the false beliefs they'd be walking around with, is huge. Okay, so what will they develop if they don't have a chance to achieve and transform from the result you're providing? What if the false beliefs they develop as a result of not engaging with you, or buying the car or the home for your services because they don't think they're worth it, or they should spend the money on it? Think about that. Okay, so the value of whatever service you're providing has value monetarily, but also in terms of time and energy. So this is really important. Think about the time, energy, and money that you are saving someone when they engage with you. How's that sound, Connie?
I love that. And as you're talking, I'm thinking about, as a service provider myself, right?
Yep.
I work on stress management, and I essentially just give tools, tips, and advice, right? And
Yeah.
so a lot of times, the time, energy, and money that I'm able to save my clients, I learned that I had that niche because I felt like I was being sucked dry by my friends, because I
Mm-hmm.
saved them time, energy, and money. And I was always the one that they came to say, "Can you help me solve this?" And then they would tell their friends, "Oh my God, she helped me." So that's how I started to see that I was a valuable friend, but that I can make a business out of it. Because on the flip side, what I saw is that I spent time, money, and energy on myself to be best
Mm-hmm.
equipped to handle whatever those people threw at me. So I see both sides of it, right? I
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying think of the time, energy, and money you save your clients, because I didn't have that at the beginning. I didn't have that advice at the beginning. What I held on to was, think of the time, energy, and money you've spent on yourself. You know, you, a lot of times for service providers, we worry about, like you said, we worry about the value of the offer, but you don't realize that in order for you to even have an offer, you would have had to go through something. You have to have experienced something or prepared yourself to be able to offer this particular service. You had to spend your money to improve yourself. You had to spend your energy and your time to better yourself, to then say, you know what, everything I've learned and everything I've gone through, I'm going to put something together that's going to help save all of those things, like that you said, time, energy, and money, for a bunch of people, and it's going to be valuable. So on the flip side of it, I think people also have to understand it takes a lot of time, energy, and money to even put together an idea of putting together a business, of offering this valuable, service or product. And a lot of times I think people forget that too. What do you think?
I completely agree. And it's very interesting. Like, I actually just had this experience, and I asked someone, um, who decided to work with me. I said, "Why did you decide to work with me?" And she said, "You know what really made me decide to work with you is I see all the time, energy, and money you put into yourself so that you can help me even more." So she was seeing the value that I like how I hold myself, and in the worthiness that I see in myself. I am worth putting time, energy, and money into myself so that I can help others. She recognized that. And that was really, really interesting for me to observe, because I mean, my biggest expense in my business is my own development. And that sometimes shocks people, but that truly is the biggest expense. And I think how this kind of flips itself around and how that is reflected in the work I do is really, I like to say that I'm helping my clients save energy, the energy that it takes to kind of fight their own head trash, their own confusion, their own indecision, the overwhelm of having a business and having a life, or being, working for someone but having kids at home. it, the energy it takes to navigate both without feeling guilty or less than or not worth it, that, because I've realized that I need to show up as the best version of myself, I'm really helping my clients see that they need to show up as the best version of themselves as well, and to quiet all of those little voices in the back of their head that are saying, "I don't know, are you really sure you should do this? Should you really ask for more? Should you really spend this on yourself or your business?" Um, that's that's kind of how that flips itself around, I think, and shows up. And it's really part of my process, because that first thing that I say is, we're going to work on your unwavering belief in yourself. We're going to create a belief plan, not an action plan. Although I love action plans, I love helping people create business plans. But a huge part, actually, of my business planning process, half the time we spend on the mindset. Like, page one is all about what you're thinking and your vision. Page two is all about the action or the traction. And that's important work, doing that kind of thing. But that I bring years of experience to the table. I've invested in me. I've seen my own worthiness, and now I want to flip that around and share it with my clients.
That's excellent. I wanted to add to that because it's such a good conversation. And I think a lot of people, like Connie was saying, especially like when they're starting off, they're so insecure with their business, with their offer, with their value. I think there's a lot of, imposter syndrome is a word I can use. A lot of people feel that when they're just starting off. And so when they're approached by a client, or they approach a potential, a client or customer, it's almost like their head goes into like a panic mode of, oh my gosh, I need this client. I need this client. I need this sale. I need this sale. And they forget that this person's talking to them because they're interested, because they need you. They need your service. service. They need your product. They need what you have to offer. And they wouldn't even be having the conversation with you if they didn't already find value in what you have to offer. And I think a lot of people miss that, you know? They're talking to a potential client that's in conversation with them about their services or their product or whatever it is that they're offering. And it's like your brain forgets that these people are
Mm-hmm.
interested in you. They're already talking to you. They're already in conversation with you. They need what you have to offer. They're interested already. So really, when you're doing that, you know, hold on to that thought, you know, that they need your service. They're interested in you already. They like what you have to offer. They're just inquiring more info. So when it goes down to pricing, and giving them what you're worth, what it's going to cost to work with you, what your product is worth, you know, all of that, don't forget that they're already interested. I think we forget that and we get all
We
like, oh God,
do.
you know, I got to sell myself. I gotta sell this product. No, you know, if they're already in conversation with you, it's, think about it as sold, and then make sure that you place the proper price and value to what you're offering them, not in desperation to get them, but in a mindset that they need you, and you need to make sure that you're going to get your money's worth for what you're going to offer them. But that's all I wanted to add to that. I'm done talking.
So like I think kind of what you're saying is, what do you believe about them? Do you believe that they're short-sighted and can't see what you're bringing to the table, or do you believe that they're smart and mature enough to see it? And then what do you believe about you, right? And so I think it's interesting to think about, if you've got kids or nieces or nephews or whoever, you know, what really is kind of fun is to think about what you tell kids. You tell your kids to believe in themselves, right? Would you ever tell them that they're not worth whatever? Would you ever say that like they're not worth your time, love, and energy? No, you would never say that. So how much are you worth? Like, what are you worth? Your you've got to talk to yourself in that same sort of way and believe that that person sitting on the other side of the table, who's probably already done some research, believe that they're not short-sighted, that they actually can see long term. That goes back to that emotional and financial maturity of your clients. And I think if you struggle with this and it goes on for, I don't know what too long is, but I'll say too long, that's going to lead you to not be winning. I like to say there's no such thing as failing, but you're definitely not going to be winning or learning. I like to say you're either winning or learning, not failing. But it's really going to be hard for you to win or learn. And this is really, honestly, just a decision, right? A decision that you have to make as to how you see yourself. And a lot of what goes on in my business is I help entrepreneurs make decisions, right? And if you're having a hard time making this kind of decision about yourself, adopting this kind of thinking, what do you need to do in order to change that? That's what you really got to ask yourself. What do you need to do in order to change that? What support do you need? What container do you need to kind of put yourself in? Because this is going to have a long time, lifetime impact on you if you don't clean this kind of thinking up.
I absolutely love that. And with that, I wanted to just add a little bit in terms of value. So at the beginning, I was in that scarcity mentality until one day I made an offer. I said this is what my service is and this is how much it costs. And the person said, perfect. How do I pay? And I almost fell out of my chair because I never received that. I always received somebody who wanted either to haggle or payment plan or whatever. That day was the day that marked like, okay, we're good. I got it, right? I was trying to work so much on myself that I just needed an extra push of somebody who actually believed in the value that I was saying I had and that I offered. And so that was a pivot point. So for everybody listening, it may not you may work really hard to change your thought process and everything, but it's just going to be one thing that you change or one thing that happens that's going to automatically click and you're going to get it. and you're going to be good going forward. So so don't be hard on yourself if it doesn't happen right away, because in the beginning I didn't have this great advice. I kind of just looked for the knowledge on the web, and I listened to webinars, and I was doing all the work on my own, spending my own time, energy, and money, when really I could have gone to somebody like Andrea to say, like, can you just help me? I just want to go to one person who knows exactly what I need to be doing, and I'll put my time, energy, and money into that, because what I'm doing on my own is not working. Um, so I wanted
Yeah.
to provide that to you, because we've all gotten there. Like, we've all had that scarcity mentality. Vanessa's talked about it before. I've talked about it before. But there's going to be a moment in time when something just clicks and everything falls into place, and all the hard work that you've been doing now completely makes sense, and your mind shift has just, it's blown you away. So I kind of wanted to add that, because it's not perfection. It's not the same story for everybody, and everybody's road to that click does not look the same. Some are rocky and some are not. So don't be hard on yourself if you're trying to push yourself to get that click and to get in that space, because that's going to make you sick. Don't feel like a failure because you're not there yet, because I'm still not thinking right. Knowing that you're not thinking right and working on it is success. You are
Mm-hmm.
getting there. So I don't want you to feel hard on yourself.
I,
That's
I
good.
can I completely
Um,
agree. And
oh, go
Goodness,
ahead, Andrea.
can I add
While
one? I'm gonna.
you
All right.
comment on what Connie said, I'm gonna go ahead and pin your link, Andrea. So once you're through, go ahead and share with people where they can find you and what they'll find in the link. But go ahead and
Okay.
comment. But I'm done talking.
Okay. Um, to play off of Connie, think about this: passive action, taking passive action versus taking massive action. So Connie mentioned, she had read all the books, she had listened to all the things, and it still wasn't necessarily clicking. And maybe she should have just invested in herself, gotten some support to make this happen a little easier, right? So that's what I want to do. That's what I kind of want to throw this out. Like, I am going to guess you guys just being listening here on to us chat over this hour, that is taking action. But I like to kind of put that in the passive action category. It's like you're absorbing things, right? So it's not like you're not doing anything. You're absorbing anything. I am a huge podcast listener. I mean, I read all the stuff. I'm in there with you. But what if you could kind of shift a little bit and commit to taking what I call massive action, which is really more not just being interested in figuring this out, but being committed to figuring it out, showing up for yourself in a different way. And a lot of times that shift only comes when there is an investment. It's like all of a sudden you get serious and you commit to creating this transformation for yourself. So that involves you setting yourself up to commit to making it happen. And that's kind of like getting on the fast track. Now, how fast? We don't know. Just like Connie said, how fast? We don't know. Like, my clients sometimes will say to me, well, what can you guarantee me? It's really hard to in the business I do to guarantee anything. But here is what I can completely guarantee you. I am going to guarantee you that your thinking is going to change. And by changing your thinking and getting the support and accountability around that, your life and business will change. So that's what I guarantee. And I think that is the difference between this kind of staying in passive action, almost just like floating, versus starting to really swim. And you might be swimming in the river of misery and you might be feeling like you're swimming upstream. But in order to get to that other side of the river where things feel great, you've got to really like put your life jacket on and get yourself some support. So Vanessa pinned the link, Andrea's with an S links at the top. And that's going to take you to a page where you can find all the links. You can find the link to my own podcast, which is another way to kind of absorb some more of this thinking. It's called Time to Level Up. You can find it on all your favorite podcast players. But what I would love for you to do is to go to that link and take the quiz. Okay, there is a quiz there at the very top of that link where you kind of identify what your productivity prototype or archetype is, your productivity archetype is. And a lot of times we think why this isn't really happening is because we need to do more. We need to do more. But you're going to find out that maybe by taking that quiz, you don't need to do more. You just need to do things in a different way, or you need to approach them from a different angle, or you need to start dreaming and believing more in yourself. That quiz will help you kind of figure that out. So I would encourage you to go to that link, take the quiz to start to get not just what your archetype is, but to start to actually get some help coming your way. And as always, there also is a link there to book a call. I always love to do complimentary strategy calls with anyone who wants to kind of flip the switch and start thinking about this in a different way to put their own life jacket on.
I absolutely love that. And just to add, if you like anything that the moderators have said today, please go ahead and follow them here on Clubhouse. Like Andrea said, go on to Instagram, follow us there. There's a lot of good stuff that we offer. Vanessa and I do this every week at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're here for you. We want to provide you value, and we want to provide you a room where you can ask the questions that are difficult and help point you in the right direction. So, Andrea, I just want to say thank you so much for talking to us about our worth and for clearing out some things and for giving us some real practical tools and tips. So to summarize, believe you have in yourself as a provider is really important. Belief of the value of your offer is really important, and belief of the emotional and financial maturity for your customer. Those are the three things that you need to believe in order for you to head into the right direction. And always remember, change your mindset. Stop thinking about your client's pocket and think about the time, energy, and money you're going to save them in the long run. Did I get that right, Andrea?
You did. And think about the transformation that you're actually providing them, like you opening that door for them. I love to open doors really wide for my clients because I think that's when they experience the most growth and evolution.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Andrea, for being with us today. Vanessa, any last minute announcements or anything you'd like to make?
I just wanted to thank Andrea again, or Andrea, I'm sorry, to just thank you so much for being here and sharing your value. Just wanted to remind everyone that we're here on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern, usually with a guest speaker. Sometimes we don't, and sometimes we're not here. So check my profile for announcements on whether we have a room or not on Wednesdays, but you can always check out our profiles and it'll show you the scheduled rooms that we have, so you can RSVP. And you can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Marketing and Mindset Podcast. So you're welcome to follow us there and at my website, networknessie.com. You can listen to previous episodes if you haven't been following us. All the episodes are on there and in my profile here on Clubhouse as well. And I think those should be on Connie's as well. So you guys can get all that valuable knowledge that we share in this room. But thank you so much for being here again. And Connie, you can go ahead and do your thing. Thank you so much. I'm Vanessa Cooper and I'm done talking.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, Andrea, again for being with us. Thank you for everyone that's hung out with us for an hour. If you like what you've heard, like Vanessa said, go ahead and check out our profiles, check out our recordings, go on to Apple Podcasts, see some of our recorded rooms from the past, but do so with Andrea as well. She has her own podcast where she offers a lot of tips, tools, and advice that you can definitely learn from. But take a chance in yourself and go from passive to a little more aggressive. Thank you so much for being with us, and I will be closing the room in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.